Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Happy Friday. I'm Jay Zawaski with Greg Boysen. We are remote today. I am running the audio. That's why you heard the sad trombone when I was supposed to hit the CHGO music. Oh, my God. I'm good at this. Really, I'm a professional.
Off to a great start.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being with us. We appreciate that. As always, do us a favor. Hit that like button for us. Make sure you are following us on YouTube as well. Subscribe to all that great stuff. And on your favorite podcast app, follow and leave us a 5-star review there as well. We've got a lot to get to today. We're going to finish off the mailbag, which we had a lot of, but then kind of had some actual news to talk about. So we had to put a couple of those away. So we're going to finish those off, and then we're going to talk about the upcoming Tom Kurvers prospect showcase coming up next weekend. But first, we want to let everybody know our first CHGO Bears tailgate is happening on Sunday. The regular season is here. It's going to be awesome from 7:30 to 11:30 right there at the corner of Warbash and Cermak in Chicago. The pregame party, the best in the city, presented by Miller Lite. Come on out. Join the Bears fans. Join the CHGO staff. There's going to be multiple beer options from Molson Coors. Multiple food options from Firewater Barbecue. Come on, barbecue, beer. They've got a full bar available. Check it out, allchgo.com. Go to that events tab. And if you're a diehard, you guessed it, you're going to save on this event. We've got tailgates for every home game this season. So don't miss it. Go welcome the start of the Caleb Williams era. And to be clear, you don't need a ticket to the game to go to the tailgate. Show up at the tailgate. It ends at 11:30. Maybe you live close enough to get home. You certainly live close enough to get to somewhere with a TV. So come on out to the CHGO first tailgate of the season this Sunday, starting at 7:30, ending at 11:30. Again, also, you don't have to show up at 7:30. You just show up when you want in that window, hang out until 11:30. It's an awesome time. You'd be a fool to miss it. A damn fool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to head out. Weather's going to be nice.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Better to go out in September than in December.
Fulfill your obligation then.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
What obligation? I totally want to be there.
I want to be there too. It's just a matter of can I be there? That's the big thing.
Yeah, but it should be a lot of fun. I know we've got a lot of tickets pre-sold. So there's going to be a huge group out there. So join the fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of excitement in the air, as they say, on Sunday.
I have not been this excited for a Bears season since the last time they drafted a quarterback, but no, like so seriously,
3 years ago.
Yeah. But honestly, this one feels different. We talked about it earlier this week, and you can feel like you go to the Jewels, you're walking around, and everyone's got like a crispy new Bears hat on. Everybody's excited. So get in on the ground floor and go to the tailgate. It's going to be an awesome, awesome time. I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to be able to go, but I'm going to try.
A reminder that our tailgate, where we do it at Cermak and Wabash, it's not just us on this lot. Like,
right.
You could hang out with us and then also kind of see what else is going on. There's a whole bunch of different tailgates that they all go together in this one big lot right by the L stop there, and they have shuttles that take you to the game if you do have tickets, and like you said, if you don't, there are bars nearby, or hopefully you're home.
And that is the Green Line stop, correct?
Yeah, I believe so. What is it?
Yeah.
The
Wabash.
Yeah, I think the Wabash Green Line. So there's ways to get there. So go there, check it out. It's gonna be an awesome time. I remember like the first one we did our first year. I didn't know what to expect. I was like blown away. Like, oh my God, this is quite a thing. And it's only gotten bigger and better. And people are really excited about the Bears. So let's go. Come on out. Join us. Come celebrate before the win over the Titans. I predict them to go undefeated. So I got to predict them to win this week. So
it's hard to go undefeated if you lose the first game.
Correct. That is a scientific fact. That is correct.
I'm no football expert, but that's my take.
I'm gonna start calling you Adam Hogue. All right, let's get to the first question from the mailbag, shall we, Law?
Mailbag Monday on a Friday? This is nuts.
It is. Yar.
All right, gentlemen, let's get to it. Here we go. Who is the most underrated prospect in the Blackhawks system, in your opinion?
Well, I'm going to go with 14th ranked Frank Nazar. Is that a cop out? No, I don't think he's underrated by anyone but Corey Pronman.
That's why I put him on the thumbnail.
Yes, it's a really good question, and I'm trying to think of myself as someone who am I not thinking enough about, and I think it's probably for me. Gavin Hayes. I just don't think of him as a guy who's going to have an NHL future, despite all the evidence to the contrary. Like I don't know what it is. I can't really figure out why I don't feel that way. But when you look at his numbers, when you look at the things he's done, he looks like an NHL player. He's got more size than most of the Hawks. I don't know. I think he's probably the one at this moment where I'm kind of on the fence about, but everyone seems kind of excited about him.
Yeah. I mean, underrated. When I look through this list, I too kind of felt like who is not getting enough attention when they should. You could argue, as Change Your Logo says in the chat, that Levshunov is pretty underrated by half the fan base. Everybody that wanted Demidov kind of like, I don't want to say soured on Levshunov, but they may not give him as much credit about how good he could be because he wasn't the guy they wanted. But I mean, if you talk about underrated prospects as in terms of prospects people are not talking enough about, you got to go to Russia because there's two guys there.
Yeah.
Ilya Safonov is a guy that I think could solve a lot of problems down the road if he decides to come. He's got 1 year left on his deal. He is a 6'4", 205-pound center. What do the Blackhawks need?
Size and centers.
They need a big center. And if he comes over next year, he's got 1 year left on his KHL deal. He'll be 24 when he gets there, and he'll have 3 years of pro KHL experience. So that's a guy that could probably come here and be on the Blackhawks next fall. I don't see much of a turn in Rockford, if any, at all. I mean, it's a 24-year-old. It's been a captain for Akbars Kazan, an assistant captain and captain. His numbers dipped a bit last year, just 13 goals and 20 points in 67 games. The year before, he had 19 goals and 37 points. So his numbers dipped a little bit last year, but I think this is a guy that if he wants to come here and play for the Blackhawks next year, there is a spot for him. It's not going to be one of those, hey, come over, see if you make the team, play a year or two in Rockford, and we'll reevaluate. This is more of like, come here and play in the NHL. I think he's that good. And as I said, he is something they don't have as far as big centers who are also highly talented. And then you stay in Russia, and Roman Kantsarov is a guy that I don't think enough people talk about. Second round pick in 2023. Huge season as a teenager in the KHL. It's very hard for young players to get meaningful minutes in that league. And he had 8 goals and 15 points in 53 regular season games, but then really showed what he could do in the playoffs. 4 goals, 13 points in 23 games, helping Metallurg win the freaking championship. And he was a big part of that at just 19 years old. So he's a guy, another small forward at just 5'9", but dynamic, can score, can set up, can make plays as well with the pass. Can play both sides, left, right wing. Those are two guys I don't think get talked about enough. And another guy that I locally that we'll see a lot in Rockford this year that I think is a bit underrated is Paul Ludwinski. I don't think enough people give him enough credit as he should get. And we're going to see him and his speed in Rockford all season, so we'll get a better idea of if he's overrated, underrated, or properly rated.
Yeah, I think first of all, just to circle back to the Russian players, I think sometimes people will go and as your armchair GMs go back and like, hey, how are these guys doing in Russia? And they look at the numbers and it's nothing that really jumps off the page. You've got to know that the stat translation is not very accurate from Russia to North America. Like, for instance, Artemi Panarin's last year in St. Petersburg, he had more than a point per game, 62 points in 54 games. He was great, hands down, best player in the league. There you go. Before that, 40 points in 51 games, 18 points in 40 games, 26 points in 38 games. So you can't draw a correlation. It's not going to look like Connor Bedard looked in junior, right? It doesn't really work that way when you translate from Russia to the US. So I would say Europe in general too. You'll see guys from Finland and Sweden that don't have huge numbers that come in and are able to score at the NHL level pretty quickly.
It's tough for 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old players to get significant playing time in those leagues. A lot of those guys, regardless of their talent, are going to play 6-7 minutes a night, fourth line, no power play. Those are veteran-driven leagues. So it's kind of like the exact opposite of junior numbers. Take those with a grain of salt too, because when you look at some OHL or USHL numbers or WHL and your Q and you're like, oh my God, that guy had 190 points in 40 games. Well, Dave Bolin scored over 100 points in his OHL last draft season. So he was never going to be a 100-point scorer in the NHL. So it's kind of the inverse rule of the Canadian junior leagues, where you look at those stats and you can kind of be like, well, it doesn't necessarily tell the whole story, because there's a ton of guys that were OHL monsters on the score sheet that never played in the NHL, or when they did, they became Mackenzie Entwistle type players, fourth liners, because that's what they had to do, because they just didn't have that speed or scoring ability at the NHL level.
A lot of folks in the chat talking about Ryan Green as well, from Boston University. Another guy putting up really big numbers, a big body, 20 years old. So these guys feel like they've been around forever. Doesn't it? It just feels like
this could be the third year for Green in the system. He's going to be captain for BU this year. So being captain of one of the nation's top college programs is a real big deal. So I mean, it goes to the as we've talked about a lot, about how the Blackhawks want character guys in their locker room. So a captain. I think Green could definitely be a guy that could be a bottom six center type player, third or fourth line guy, maybe more third line, because he does have some offensive ability there. So yeah, he's another guy. And somebody in the chat said, where are all these guys going to play? Well, they're not all going to make it to the NHL.
Right.
And if they do, induct Kyle Davidson into the Hall of Fame now. They're not going to they're not all going to play for the Blackhawks. They're not all going to play in the NHL, but the more prospects you have, the more chances you have to hit, and the more currency you have on trade markets as well. Lebowski 5 about Dave Bolin, 130 points. He was a great player. Yes, he was. I'm not saying he wasn't a great player. He's one of my favorite Blackhawks of all time. A very important piece to those first two Stanley Cup championships. Yeah. But he wasn't a point producer in the NHL, and he learned that very early. That hey, I'm not going to be a 130-point guy in the NHL. I need to do other things to be effective, and he did. To his credit, I love Dave Bolin. I will never.
Yeah, he figured it out very quickly. And that's what a lot of these guys have to do. And it's the ones that can make the adjustment and can be the ones who say, oh, I'm not quite the guy here like I was my whole life. All right, figure it out. Every enforcer in the NHL at one point was the best player on their team, probably for a long time, because guess what? They ended up in the NHL. That is as scrubby as you think some of these guys are. They would go into any men's league and dominate and skate circles around people. So, it takes some figuring out. Dave Vaughan figured it out quick and adapted his game perfectly and was exactly what the Hawks needed in that third line role. Okay, there's one question down. We're going to get to the rest of them here momentarily on CHGO Blackhawks. But the weekend is here. The chili is upstairs, simmering on the pot, waiting for the show to end. I can smell it. It is amazing. I cannot wait to go up there and have some for lunch, and then have some for dinner, then have some all over the weekend, and then hopefully have some leftovers for my buddies. Maybe we'll see how it goes. Is there gluten in chili? I'm not sure. But between work and social media and the choices life throws our way and the chili on the pot, it's time to chill. It's a Friday. It is time to chill. And when you choose chill, you should reach for a Coors Light. It is the perfect accessory to choosing chill. It is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. How do you know that it's mountain cold? Well, the mountains on your can are going to be blue. And I've seen them get so blue, they're almost purple. That is ideal. You want that big, bright blue mountain, and you know it's going to be great because Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. So when you embrace a chill mindset on this Friday and Saturday and Sunday, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door right now with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
And chilling with a Coors Light outside is awesome too. And while you're outside chilling, you need a pair of sunglasses to not only look cool, but protect your eyeballs. And that's where our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with their premium Polaroid shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is our favorite independent sunglasses company in the entire world, with their world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. The shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're going to find the perfect pair to match your unique style. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane in protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a brand new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There is absolutely no risk when you shop. And their team always has your back with their fast and personal support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head over to ShadyRays.com, throw in a bunch of sunglasses in your cart. When you check out, use the promo code CHGO. They're going to give you 35% off that entire order, so you can finally try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. It's probably 330,000 by now.
Yeah, by now.
It's old copyright. I have a chili question for you.
Yes.
Before we move on, do you put your chili over anything, or you just eat it as is?
I will usually
when I make chili, I'd make some macaroni shells and throw them on top of the macaroni, like little chili mac.
I don't usually. I will usually add cheese, like a big handful of cheddar, and I like now they sell like that bigger shredded cheddar, like the bigger pieces. And sometimes I'll put either crackers in there, but usually I just take tortilla chips and I almost eat it like a dip sometimes. But yeah, I don't mix it with a lot of macaroni. I would. It's just another thing to cook.
Fritos. Gotta go with Fritos.
Oh, see, yeah, Fritos are.
That's what I do. A little bit of macaroni, because also the macaroni then makes the chili last longer because you're eating less of it. So you do the shells or some elbow macaroni, big old scoop of chili, handful of cheddar cheese. I know you don't like this, but a dollop of sour cream and then some crunched up Fritos on top. That's the way to go.
Yeah, Fritos for sure.
I put black beans in my chili.
Okay, so this is Charlie the Bacon Guy's recipe. So I put in kidney beans and Great Northern beans.
Great Northern beans are fine. I don't like kidney beans. It's a texture thing. They're too firm. They're
Okay.
They're a Rockford ice hog. They're too firm.
Too firm. All right, fair enough.
I like softer beans.
Sure. Hey, and some people don't like them at all. And I did look it up. There's flour in this particular recipe, so no chili for Mario.
There
Unfortunately,
is.
Yeah, it's like you make kind of a roux with the onions and garlic and jalapenos, and then you add all the spices, and then you add a little flour to make a little roux out of that with the beef fat.
Huh.
And then it's time to add the tomatoes and the beef stock and all that stuff. So, yes, there's flour. There is a half cup of flour in my pot right now.
Change the logo saying add peanuts. Interesting.
I mean, it gives you the salty crunch. I could see that.
Yeah. Ooh, Brad Martin. We in my culture we put chili on fry bread. Add lettuce, cheese, and hot sauce. That sounds amazing.
Lettuce.
Okay with the no lettuce. That's
right. A little crunch.
Hot lettuce is gross. As soon as lettuce gets warm, it's not crunchy. It's soggy.
You gotta eat it fast.
No, I'm good.
Lettuce let's get back into the mailbag. There's no mailbag Sunday coming, so we better get back to this.
If we don't answer a question this week, we'll live.
Yeah. All right. This one is interesting. Ponsonby Brent. Okay. The DC Universe versus Marvel in a hockey game. What are your lineups, and how does each team neutralize the other's powers? Like,
oh my God,
Strange with a kryptonite stick.
Oh, fork strikes again. This is our buddy Hockey Night. That's a question and a half right there.
I mean, there's no. The answer is you just have Superman on your team, and you can't do anything. But if there's a kryptonite stick, then all right. So then Superman's got to play the point. If the goalie has a kryptonite goalie stick, he's got to stay far enough away where the stick won't affect him. Like, how close can Superman get to kryptonite before it starts? Like, does he have to touch it? Does that touch his body, or is it like the presence of it?
I don't know. I don't know that answer.
Yeah, we're kind of the wrong guys to ask this. We're not.
I do think my first choice for goalie, I thought the Thing. From Fantastic Four, but then I think he's more of a power forward. I'd rather have Mr. Fantastic, the guy that can get all stretchy, be my goalie.
Now you're thinking, because I was thinking bulk. I was thinking like Juggernaut in goal, and
that wouldn't hurt either. Past him. But Mr. Fantastic can make those crazy saves, or Dr. Octopus because he has 8 arms.
That's true. That's true. I like Deadpool in a Brad Marchand kind of a role. Like, he could take as many slashes and stuff, and he'll talk crap. As good as anybody. Yeah, we're kind of the wrong dudes. I'm not a big I like the movies, but I don't know the lore and the the depth of the characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think I could probably come up with a cool Marvel versus DC lineup, but not off the top of my head. I'd have to do some nerd research before I do that.
Well, see, now LNK, maybe a little bit more in our wheelhouse, says do it with wrestlers. If you had like a WCW versus WWE, or you could do an eras sort of a thing.
Current versus all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah. All right, we'll brain this a little bit. We'll work on it. We're not blowing you off, Fork. We're just we want to get a question so creative. We want to give it the proper attention. That's all.
Sounds like a cop-out to me, but then again, I didn't say anything because I don't give a shit about Marvel or DCU.
It is a cop-out, indeed. By the way, I'm noticing a lot of people in the chat are saying they're currently looking for Hawks tickets. Single game tickets are on sale right now. So if you're sitting here with us on your computer, open up the Blackhawks website, go find some tickets for these single games. Someone asked me on Twitter last night, like, are the Hawks going to be watchable this year? I think I'm comfortable guaranteeing watchability.
Yeah, people watched last year.
Yeah.
Their ratings were super high last year. That's part of the reason they made some changes in the presentation was because a lot more people were watching than they were expected. Yeah. Anytime Conor Bedard is on the ice, people are going to want to watch.
I agree. But I think just in general, the team is stronger, just top to bottom. So it's not going to be like, oh, Bedard's out there. Pay attention. Okay, he's off for another 2 minutes. We'll come back a little bit later. And they should be able to withstand some injuries.
I don't think they're going to be doing any broadcasts with just the ISO cam on Conor Bedard for every shift like they did last year. There's no, there's some actual other talent on the ice, but besides number 98, which is nice.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's go back into the mailbag. This one is from Michael Murphy. All City needs to scrap Chemo Timonen from the introduction montage. What famous Hawks pick or moment would you pick? Only get one choice, but not necessarily one player.
All right, so we're adding a moment to the All City intro montage and taking Chemo Timonen out.
Before we to let you in on a little secret. All those little snippets that are in the intro are personally shot snippets. They're not. We don't have the rights to use anything from the broadcast, so that's probably why Chemo Timonen is there. Somebody had that personally shot and let us use it, as opposed to paying NBC or whoever. So that's why that one was there. It's probably like that's all we have. So we're going to use it. But it is a good question. Otherwise, I think
I did film Bedard's opening faceoff. We could put that in there.
There you go.
Against Crosby.
That'd be kind of cool.
Except he lost.
No, he lost a lot of faceoffs last year.
He did.
They won the game. That's what matters. Damn it.
Yes. I think if I could pick one that would be awesome for that like intro that kind of gets people excited, gotta be the Marian Hossa sliding on his knees celebration from Game 5 against Nashville. I mean, that's iconic.
Yes.
And then there's also the thing that pops into my mind. They use it in the pregame intro at the United Center, with the drum beat, build up. It's that, I don't know what's going on, but it's like Chelios being held back by like a referee and kind of looking over the ref and talking smack to whoever. That's just kind of quintessential Chelios too. Like, how many people is it going to take to hold me back from killing you, kid? Let's find out.
There's also a moment in that montage. Is it Magnuson who adjusts his shoulder pads like after a fight? Like he kind of shrugs to like get his equipment back in order. That's there's so many cool images in that. And that, by the way, the song playing, for those that don't know, is The Might of Rome from Gladiator. It's what they play during the opening montage, which I do have on my playlist every night to get me fired up.
It's good. That montage does the trick.
Yeah.
I used to love it back in the day when they had like the stitches of like the logo, kind of follow them along, and then it would pan out. And it's
that was the Orchard.
Mm-hmm.
That was the name of that song, The Orchard.
You were just full of facts.
Nerd.
Wonderful facts. I feel like we should just get the photo of Taves and Kane holding up the cup from 2015 where I'm just randomly in the background. It's a great photo.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. As long as we have the rights to it.
I mean, my buddy took it from the ice and sent it to me. So
there you go.
There you go. That works. Get it from him. We'll throw you in there. We'll put a little arrow over your head, Law, so people can see that it's you in the photo.
All right, we got a couple minutes before the break zone. Should we try and knock another one out?
Yeah, I think we can get one more.
All right. How about this one from Kenneth? Let's say the Blackhawks win the Stanley Cup in 4 years in 2028. What does that team look like? Thinking players, coach, etc. That should be a quick answer, right?
Not a good right before the break.
You know what they look like? They look happy. That's what they look like.
Yeah, there you go. They look like they're celebrating a Stanley Cup victory.
Conor Bedard is on that team.
I would say so.
After that, I don't know. Levshunov, Vlasic. Jones is still here based on contract.
Would that be the last year? Or do you have one more after that?
I think he has one more after that, yeah. Other than that, I mean, you'd hope guys like Oliver Moore and Frank Nazar and Korchinski are contributing to that. Some of the guys from this past draft class, besides Levshunov. But that's 4 years down the road. So much can change between now and then. So, maybe Connor McDavid is on a Blackhawks getting that Stanley Cup. Who knows?
Sure.
I would say there is a less than 1% chance of that happening, but that's more than zero. So that's okay. Hold on to that hope.
I don't know if it's more than zero, but I'd like to pretend.
More than zero, less than 1%.
Okay. Fair. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. That's the chances of that happening.
All right, more mailbag to come here on CHGO Blackhawks. But NFL is here. It is time. If you need to dust off your Prize Picks app, today's the day. Get in there, load it up. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily sports app with over 5 million active members. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the Prize Picks community today. Listen to this one. Caleb Williams passing yard gets you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. 1 Caleb Williams passing yard gets you a win every week in September. So if he throws for 1 yard, you get an automatic win all month. 4 weeks of free W's. Don't miss this deal on Prize Picks because it's gone when September ends, and so is Green Day. Prize Picks preseason football is over, but you can pick more or less on a 2024 season. Will Patrick Mahomes throw for more or less than 4,300 yards? Will CJ Stroud's sophomore season result in more or less yards than 4,150? Lots of good stuff to look at. Do it. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CHGO and get $50 instantly when you play 5. That's code CHGO on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
And if you love what we're doing here at CHGO, we encourage you to please become a diehard over at allchgo.com. What does becoming a diehard get you besides our never-ending gratitude and love? Well, it gets you the free shirt of your choice. You can get this cool Bulls one that I'm wearing, or a Bears one that Jay's wearing, or one of the sweet multiple Blackhawk choices you have. You can get our logo right there underneath my gray beard on your screen. You can get that on a shirt. We have a captain shirt available, a legendary 81, raised in Chicago 7, 2 16-bit shirts, a 98C and a 27C Hall of Fame shirt for whoever that is supposed to be about. Tons of shirts. You get one free every year when you become a diehard. Plus, you get 20% off merch from here on out, and also 20% off all of our events. So if you want to head to one of those awesome Bears tailgates like this Sunday, you get 20% off your ticket. So that's 20% more beer and food you can have for the same price. Get your money's worth. We're going to have some Blackhawk takeovers, multiple takeovers this year. There's a Bears takeover or a Cubs takeover going on right now at Wrigley for Anthony Rizzo's return. Doesn't look like it's going too well, but hey, you could have got
on TV.
Yes, he did.
Did someone hit a home run in the basket right in front of him again?
No, he had a Rizzo sign he was holding up.
All right. There's a Bears trip coming up. Our London trip sold out, but everybody who was a diehard got 20% off of that. You can get 20% off your Bears trip to Phoenix, Arizona, to watch the Bears play the Cardinals on November 3rd. That trip package includes a 3-night stay at a 4-star hotel, a Q&A with Bears alumni, an all-inclusive tailgate party, round-trip transportation to the game, upper-level ticket for Bears and Cardinals. So make sure you're joining our Bears fans for that. And plus, you get access to all the premium written content on the website. Jay's Blackhawks Beat will return when the season starts. Mario and I are doing the rebuild report, but we're doing it a little differently this year. Last couple of years, we did it all in one. This year, we're going to split it up where I'm going to do a weekly Ice Hogs report separate since there's so many prospects going to be there, and Mario will take care of the rest of the prospects. So you get 2 prospect reports every week and all the other great stuff, including the Discord. So you could have first crack at Mailbag Monday. Have your questions read on Monday, not Friday.
Actual Monday.
Don't have to wait the whole week to hear your question when you're a diehard.
It's a great deal. It's a great deal. And it helps us keep going. So if you like what we do here, become a diehard. There are certainly plenty of perks in there for you. Basically, you sign up, you get your free shirt. There's probably half the membership right there. You go to an event, there's the other half of the membership. So it's basically paid for itself and right off the bat. So check it out. Do it. Become a diehard, allchgo.com. All right, Law. Let's keep going.
All right, gentlemen. We're going back to the mailbag on a Friday. This one is about Conor Murphy. This comes from David Garcia. Conor Murphy's contract will be up when he is 33. Do you guys think there is a possibility that he will be re-signed to be a bottom pair defenseman or possibly a seventh defenseman?
No.
Yeah, I doubt it. And if it is, it's going to be a very team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
There's just so many defensemen in the system right now, and we're talking about already where some of these guys are going to be playing this season. So yeah, that will be, I just don't see there's a spot for him. I'd love to keep him around. He's a great locker room president and all that stuff, but my feeling is once that contract up, he's going to go somewhere that he can go play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Because that's something he really hasn't had a lot of opportunity to do. So,
yeah, I just, like you said, there's so many coming that I don't think they're going to find room for him, especially with the injury history and everything. They like him. It's not that they don't like Conor Murphy, but I think, I mean, if you honestly ask Kyle Davidson over a beer or a Capri Sun, whatever he prefers, like
seems like a mead guy.
Like if you could move, I think they would move on from him if they could. Like if they got an offer that was like a third or a fourth, like yeah, he brings leadership, and yeah, when he's healthy, he plays very well. Like I like Conor Murphy, I really do, but I feel like they're maybe looking at that right now as maybe a little bit of a block. And maybe when we look at like, well, why'd they sign TJ Brody? Maybe they're seeing like that as the guy who will move into that slot if they choose to ship Murphy out at the deadline or whatever it might be. I don't know. I don't see a future beyond his current contract here. That's what I'll say. Whether he's traded or not before it expires, I'm probably 50-50. And actually, I'd probably lean more towards no, just based on what is he going to return. Our team's interested in the guy with chronic back issues and injury issues. I don't know. We'll see. I would not be surprised to just see him play it out and find employment elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
like a guy like Kelvin DeHaan, right? Like
yeah.
that guy is still finding work because why? He's an effective hockey player. He's not great. He's not spectacular, but he does his job and does it well. He is a mentor to young players, and he's a great guy. And every team would love to have a Conor Murphy or a Kelvin DeHaan on it. And if you count on them appropriately, then they make sense. I just think for where the Hawks are now, a player like that doesn't make a lot of sense to bring back 3 years from now.
Yeah, he's got this year and next season on his contract. So, a lot can happen between now and then. And I would say if he's back for the start of the 26-27 season, it's because one or more of these young defensemen have not panned out. And that's not necessarily a good thing.
No, you're right. Thomas with a good question in the chat says, do you think it's realistic that in a couple of seasons that the Hawks defense is Jones and all Hawks draft picks?
There's a chance. I mean, maybe 3 years from now, 2 or 3 years from now. I mean, you already have Vlasic. Korchinski is going to be here for a bit. You didn't draft Levshunov to not play here a long time.
So there's 3.
So there's 3
Seth
of your
Jones is
5.
4. So
I mean,
are there
Dalmastro, Kaiser, Allen?
Who is it? Renzel?
Yeah, Renzel. I mean, there's a good shot. There's a good chance. It is realistic.
Yeah.
Will that happen? I don't know. I think one or more of these young defensemen get traded at some point to fill other holes you have in your lineup. You need to get a third line center or a second line center for a playoff push. One of those young defensemen and a first round pick might be what get moved to get that deal done. So still a long way to go, but realistic, sure. Likely, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. That would be great.
It would be great.
Because not only does it mean that your prospects are panning out and they're good, it also means you've got a ton of dudes on entry-level deals playing in the league. Like, right. So that next deal for Bedard and the next deal for some of the higher prospects on a team that you think and are going to pan out, they're not as damaging because you've got a bunch of entry-level contracts in there filling out the roster. That's the ideal. And that's why, I think we've shown, we as a fan base and media, whatever you want to say, have been maybe thought that Kyle Davidson's held on to his assets a little bit too much. But his mindset is, I'm going to keep reloading this, because in a hard cap era, you've got to get rid of players you don't like, and you've got to insulate yourself against losing guys, because there's going to be guys, I guarantee you this, that you like, listener, viewer, that are going to have to go to make room for Bedard, to make room for hopefully Nazar, to make room for Gorchinski, or elite free agent X when the time comes. And like, you might have to say goodbye to a Wyatt Kaiser, or maybe somebody, even like someone like Korchinski, or someone who's maybe not a top pair person, or a not top 6 guy that you really like. Like, I look at someone like Philip Kurashev, who we all like, but if Nazar and more, and let's say Reichel has a good year here finally, then you've got, all these draft picks from this year. Ludwinski's coming up. You've got Slaggert. You've got those kind of guys. Like, it's a guy with value. 50-point guys don't grow on trees. Right. And guys like, a guy like Kurashev, who can kind of do everything you need him to do. He's versatile, can move up and down the lineup. Those guys have value. So you like them, but you're going to lose some of those guys here. So, but if you can get, 5 of your 6 defensemen having been drafted by your team, that's outstanding.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It's going to keep Kyle Davidson employed here for a long time, if that's the case.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Law, what else we got?
All right, we are down to our final Mailbag Monday on a Friday question.
Woo, we made it.
This comes from Socks and C's. What's your guys' favorite songs or entire soundtracks from the NHL games?
Man. All right. What year was it? And I don't like this band very much. I'm nothing against them. I just don't know them well, aside from their hits. But I think it was NHL 2001 that had Heavy from Collective Soul on the intro. Yes, it was. It was NHL 2001 with Owen Nolan on the cover.
Nice.
That one, for whatever reason, it worked perfectly in that function of being the intro music for a video game. It was great.
I was a big fan of NHL 2005, that had Take Me Out by Franz Ferdinand.
Oh, yeah. That's a great one, too.
That song is great.
That is a really good song.
Collective Soul. Should I tell my Tulsa story again?
Yes.
We'll save that for after the NHL talk. Joker and the Thief by Wolfmother was another awesome song.
Good one.
That was like 13 or 14, somewhere in there. There was a Blackhawk on the cover of that game. So, there was some good stuff.
Sweetness from Jimmy Eat World was in 2003, which was a good one.
Hell yeah.
Your call on, you know what? I think Take Me Out in NHL 2005 was a great one. That was such a good one.
That song is so good.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of gets you, like, it's got that build up, and then it just, it's a good one.
I like learning new stuff from video games. And I remember too, was it NHL 99 used David Bowie's Heroes? That was really cool. That was kind of a different way to present it.
I always like it when I turn on a video game and then there's a song from like a band I really like that, doesn't really have like a lot of exposure, and I'm like, good for them. Like, it's either like 11 or 12. A song called April Fool by Manchester Orchestra was on there, and I love that band. And I was like, wow, that's Manchester Orchestra. That's awesome. So stuff like that, when you hear bands like that, I want to think it was one of the MLB games that had Snow Patrol on it, right?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think that was the first time I ever really heard of Snow Patrol. Was that the show, or was that still when EA Sports was still
the song called Spitting Games? It says was MVP Baseball 04.
Okay, so that was still EA Sports. Yeah. That was a cool song too for video game. But yeah, I think Franz Ferdinand is the winner.
Yeah. I do like that they spend time curating these things. Just all video games do it, like the sports ones. It's kind of a big deal, and I think that the WWE 2K games have done a good job too of mixing it up, and they play some stuff you wouldn't really expect on those soundtracks. It's not just intro music from the wrestlers. It's they get like licensed stuff like the NHL, MLB, NFL games do. So it's cool. Yeah, I like looking forward to see what's on 25, the NHL 25 soundtrack, because I feel like I learned something new every I learn a new song or band every time it comes out. And I remember I learned about Future Islands from one of the MLB The Show games, and it's one of my favorite bands. So yeah. Jizzo says, anyone remember the rock version of Here Come the Hawks in NHL 92?
I don't.
I don't think so, no. Maybe it wasn't from the game?
Because that would have been like that couldn't have been the game.
Yeah, because that was all
That was still Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo at that point.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I'm with Change the Logo, who brought up Here Come the Hawks from NHL 94, just the organ.
The organ, the 8-bit organ.
Nate said Brass Bonanza, which I was like, hell yes.
I have the old when this podcast is called the Madhouse Podcast, we used to end the show with the old that's how we would end the show.
And yeah, Jizzo saying it was played at the stadium.
I don't remember that.
Interesting.
I don't remember that.
You gotta find that. If you find it, Jizzo, send it to us on Twitter, email us.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember I don't remember them playing any like real songs at the stadium. I just remember the organ.
The organ, man.
It was, the stadium closed when I was 15, so a lot of that was like, early childhood. All I remember is just that organ, and you could feel the reverb off of it. It just, you felt it in the bottom of your feet every time that organ played. It was awesome.
Yeah,
so I don't remember them playing any like actual songs. To me, they don't play the organ enough.
I agree.
At Hawks games or any sporting event.
If you've never been to the stadium, as cool as the organ is at the United Center, the Chicago Stadium had an actual functioning pipe organ, like a church, like a cathedral in it.
And its own little
every
perch.
note would shake the floor. Like it was an all-encompassing experience. And that Madhouse Comiskey project, who's always on Twitter, if you have footage of Chicago Stadium for Hawks, hit them up because they're looking for stuff to make this documentary. But every now and again, when they find new stuff, they'll post it, and it's like you can smell those videos.
Yeah,
it's like cigarettes, urine, and beer.
The funniest part about that organ, it was like on its own perch, like just hovering, like it literally looked like it was duct taped to the side.
Yeah,
like
it might have been.
Anyway, it probably was.
Yeah, it probably could have. Exactly. But that was just such a part of going to Hawks games back then. Was just they would hit, Frank Pellico or Al Melgard, whoever the player was at the time, would hit like the lower notes and like, and the building would shake. Oh man, it was just such a, I don't know. It's hard to even illustrate what it was like to go to a game at the stadium. It was all your senses were, and it was kind of dangerous. Like the area around the stadium was like not great.
No,
so it was always
there was some adventure. There was some risk going down to the stadium. My sister, I'll have to get it, and maybe we can see. We'd probably get in some sort of copyright trouble, but we'd have to look up. Maybe some of the songs are public domain. We can bring in a record player. My sister has a actual vinyl record of Al Melgard plays organ hits. From you have that too? All right,
yes,
yeah.
I am that guy. I also have Frank
awesome.
Pellico's CD, Fire and Ice.
Nice. But the vinyl is awesome. And I have to see what's on that. Like if there's some
I'll bring it in.
If there's some public domain songs, we could play it on the air.
I would think so. I mean, what's Al Melgard gonna sue us?
It's who wrote if he's playing like a Disney owned song, we're gonna get sued. Like it depends on what song. He's not going to sue us. I don't think he's here anymore to listen to our show, unfortunately. But he lost his internet connection a few years ago. I'll
bring him in just so we can show him on the show on Monday. That'll be cool.
How many NHL teams have their organ players that have their own actual albums out there?
I feel like I think Nancy Faust might have a let's see, I can go to Discogs. If you're wondering if someone has a record, go to discogs.com and you'll find it very quick. Let's see. She's got it. Yep, Nancy Faust at the game. There it is. Rock Around the Clock, Tie a Yellow Ribbon, Can't Help Falling in Love with You, Stars and Stripes Forever. Yeah, there's a lot on here. And it's just, this was released in, well, I don't see a release date, which is weird. It looks very cool, though. I'll try to find this one. And recorded at Comiskey Park. Yeah, okay, so 77 is when they reference the recording. So it probably came out in like 78 or so. All right, we got a $10 super chat here from our pal Lebowski 5. Thank you. McTavish is an RFA in 2,526.
Wow, that's a long contract.
Yeah, that's a long view. 2026 is what he's saying. Would you offer sheet him? What would the contract and compensation look like? Would poaching a young core player from another team not be good business for Davidson? The second part, I don't care. I don't care. Like the whole look, offer sheets are in the collective bargaining agreement. It was agreed on by the Players Association. It was agreed on by the owners and the general managers. I don't like this, like, well, it's frowned upon. Screw that. Get your guys signed. Manage your cap properly. But McTavish, 2 years from now, I gotta look up his current contract.
I mean, as far as what the compensation would be, it all depends on what the AAV of the deal is. So the better he does over these next 2 seasons, the higher that is going to be. So let's just say he puts up like Lucas Raymond type numbers.
Right.
And so say he needs to get between 6.8 and $9.1 million a year, no matter the length of the deal. That's a first round pick, a second round pick, and a third round pick. They all have to be your own, and they all have to be from the next draft. So, if it's a guy that you think is worth it and it's 2026, the Hawks should be a playoff team by then.
Yeah, you'd think.
So you're not, giving up a potential top 3, top 5 pick. If McTavish is a guy that you think you can, if he lives up to his potential and he's that cornerstone type player, hell yeah, done.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I'd be a bad GM because to me, a third round pick is like whatever, fine. Like yes, sometimes third round picks pan out. Of course, we could make a list of top 10 Thursday, the greatest third round picks ever, and it would be a tough list because there's a lot of them. But like if I'm getting someone back that is proven, fine. And like a first and second is a tough pill to swallow. But I think getting like the certainty of a guy like that at that age is very tempting. Like I want to see a little more than what he's currently producing. Nothing against him, but he had 42 points in 64 games last year. Good. It's a good player. Like there's no doubt about it. He's 21 years old. He's going to get better. But before I'm giving a first, second, and third, I want to know it's like, if it's not a point per game producer offensively, it's got to be a game changer. It's got to be a Hossa type.
Well, the problem is you can sign them to offer sheets, but guys like that, they're going to match.
You would think.
That's why you don't see a lot of offer sheets. The biggest reason is because they know they're just going to match. Like the Ducks just aren't going to say, no, we're just going to let Mason McTavish walk for 3 draft picks, because they should be contending for a playoff spot at that point too if their rebuild is going correctly. So sure, you could throw it out there. Maybe you put them in a spot where the offer sheet might be like 1.2 million more than they were originally comfortable giving them, so you screw them a little bit.
That's
on
part
the
of it
salary
too.
cap.
Yeah,
there's a little gamesmanship there where you're saying, okay, we're looking at your contracts. You probably only want to give Mason McTavish 7.5 over the next 5 years. We're going to go 8.3, 6 years. and make you pay more and give them another year to screw you in the cap because we think you're going to be a foe of ours to get to the Stanley Cup in a few years. You could do that. And Lebowski says McTavish is friends with Bedard, but that doesn't matter. The Ducks still can match it, and they will. They're not going to let Mason McTavish just walk unless he's a complete bust over the next 2 years, and I don't see that happening.
No, it's hard to imagine that. And keep in mind, too, that they're in similar cap situation as the Hawks are, where a lot of the guys they have under contract are not big money players, right? Like, you've got Troy Terry is signed to decent money. Alex Killorn is good money. Zegras is going to need a new deal in 2 years if they don't trade him. He's restricted. I don't know. Like, Frank Vetrano needs a new deal after this year.
Well, let me see him do what he did last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think you're going to I think what you would do is the purpose of an offer sheet at this rate for this specific player would be, all right, let's get these guys in some cap trouble.
Maybe you see a guy that's like there's another guy that's like a fringe guy that you want on your team. So you say if they match McTavish, they have to let this other guy go, and then we can pluck him free agency. Kind of like the Sharks did when they offer sheeted Jarmelson.
Yeah.
It forced the Blackhawks to probably pay him a little more than they wanted to at that point. And then Niemi had to walk, and they were the team that swooped in and got Niemi. So maybe you do it to pull somebody out. Listen, Mason McTavish on the Blackhawks would be awesome. But I just don't see any scenario. As weird as we think Pat Verbeek is, he's not that weird. And we're getting slammed on Twitter for for talking smack about
that.
Let me paraphrase this. We are making fun of Pat Verbeek, the general manager. We are not taking anything away from his awesome
career. He's a great player.
We're not taking anything away from player Pat Verbeek, but general manager Pat Verbeek is weird as F.
Yes. And he's hurt, right?
What's that?
Seneke is hurt.
Yes, he broke his foot off-season training. Going to miss 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
That sucks.
Not the end of the world, but not a great start.
Blows.
You're already getting slammed for reaching at that pick, and then the kid gets hurt. Not off to a great start.
Yeah. Gigady's with the $5 super chat says Hawks are better off trading for Brady Tkachuk down the road. Ottawa's going nowhere in the foreseeable future, being mediocre. I mean, the second part's true. I'm not sure how willing Ottawa would be to part with Brady Tkachuk, but he might be willing to part with them. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. I'm trying to look at his contract here. He makes 8.2 and change until 2028-29 when he's a UFA. So if Ottawa's going to trade him, you'd probably think they're going to do it ahead of that 2027-28 season, or at the trade deadline of that season when he's a pending free agent and is probably telling them he's going to walk. So, I mean, give me all the Tkachuks. I'd take Keith at this point. No, maybe not.
Yeah.
All right, before we wrap up, we want to get to one question here from the Hockey Sun. He says, hey guys, trying to catch you with a question before you go. Is it better to buy a single game ticket now that it's available or on the night of the game via Game Time? I would say it depends on the opponent.
Yeah.
So if you're trying
to the day of the week.
Yeah, that's if you're going on a weekend or you're trying to see Connor McDavid or some, Austin Matthews, whoever it might be, you're probably better off getting it early, just so you don't have to worry about it. But I think you still will find a close to face value ticket on Game Time around then. But for me, the security is, if you got one, you have to see,
face value is always good. I think the days of below face value tickets are coming to an end here real soon.
For the Hawks.
You still might luck out. Like if you want to go to a Tuesday night game against, the Nashville Predators or some Eastern Conference, the New York Islanders, sure, you could probably wait the day of and get yourself a good deal. But if you want to go on a Saturday night or a Friday night or even one of those Sunday night games, those are always going to be double face value just because the demand is there. So, it's always good to have your ticket at face value, because chances are you're not going to find much for face value unless you just ready to roll the dice and willing to drive to the United Center and then pop up that Game Time app as you're walking from your car to the arena and grab a ticket 10 minutes before puck drop. Some people, it works for them. I did that for the Pearl Jam concerts last week and got some good deals, but I also was stressed out as all heck.
Yeah.
I like having my ticket and not worrying about it.
100%. All right, we're going to wrap things up. We are back on Monday, back at full strength with Mario. We'll be doing Mailbag Monday. So get your questions in the last Monday before we have actual hockey to talk about, which is very exciting. So get those questions in via the Diehard Only Discord. You can get that access to that by becoming a diehard at allchgo.com, or hit us up on Twitter. Sunday night, or Sunday morning, we'll usually send out the, call for the questions tweet. So just respond to that so we can find them all nice and tidy. We'll talk to you then. And remember, Bears season begins Sunday. You know this already, but you're going to want to make sure you see the pregame show. You're going to definitely want to make sure you see the postgame show. Some surprises, some fun stuff definitely on the horizon for you Bears fans this weekend. So go Bears, go Irish, and we'll talk to you on Monday right here. Sorry, Greg, on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Going to do it every week.
We all silly like the mayor.